The Zero Waste Mason program is part of the university's sustainability office. Its aim is really to improve our campus waste system. So we support the facilities recycling and waste team on different kinds of zero waste initiatives, including composting, reuse initiatives, and Patriot Packout is a huge part of that. My name's Colleen Regan, and I'm a zero waste specialist at the university's sustainability office.
My name is Greg Farley. I'm the Director of University Sustainability here at George Mason University. Like a lot of sustainability offices in universities nationwide, my team works in facilities. That is a long-standing arrangement. My office was founded in 2007, and as I understand it, has been part of facilities ever since. And that's because a lot of what we try and do is to change the way the university operates. And a lot of those operations do fall into how we use our buildings and how we use our grounds and what processes we have in place to, provide resources, move those resources around in space, and then move them from beginning of life to end of life. And all of that happens in facilities. And so it's a great match. And I think the fact that our team is as large and as well funded as it is relative to other sustainability departments at the sort of national level is because we have a really good partnership with facilities and they see some value in what we bring to that partnership. And reciprocally, we rely on those resources within facilities to do a lot of what we need to do. I'm actually a biologist by training. I have a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, both of them in evolutionary ecology. And as a scientist, it's not rocket surgery to read the literature and realize that we are in the middle of an anthropogenic crisis. That crisis has a biodiversity face, that crisis has a water face, that crisis has an agricultural face, it has a climate change face. And so as a scientist, I'm compelled to try and use what I know to try and fix some of this, to drive some sort of positive impact.
My name is Donald Russell. I am the University Curator at George Mason University, and I also established and direct Mason exhibitions. We have galleries on all three of our Northern Virginia campuses, and we focus on art that investigates social topics. We engage with cross-disciplinary research with partners throughout the university. I came to Mason 12 years ago when I brought Provisions Library from its location in DC to the School of Art, where it has been growing for the last 12 years. Provisions is a research center for art and social change, and we develop a library with all kinds of useful information about the relationship between art and society.
This year is 2024, and the project is Patriot Packout. It's our annual sustainable move-out initiative. So for Patriot Packout 2024, we've picked up about 550 pounds of food, over 1,000 pounds from the Science and Technology campus, and the rest is still unweighed. But I would estimate that we've collected at least over 10,000 pounds of items. Last year we had 5,700 pounds of items. So that we collected a little over 6,000, but what we were able to donate and redistribute was 5,700. Yes. This year we have double what we collected last year, and a lot of that is due to our partnership with HRL and having just so many drop-off locations. When we talked to folks, they were aware of what Patriot Packout was. They knew about it from last year, and it just seems like more of the campus was engaged this year. I think also the swap and hops during the fall semester and all of the outreach and tabling that we did last year really helped.
Hello, my name is Yasmin Salem. I'm the Programs Manager for Mason Exhibitions here at George Mason University. Mason Exhibitions has 7 visual art galleries all across Northern Virginia, and we work with visual artists who advance dialogue and research about a variety of social justice issues. I was a student from 2016 to 2020, and I majored in social justice and human rights. I also studied environmental sustainability and well-being, and during my studies I was taught to look at social justice from a systems perspective. So when I was asked to join the Patriot Packout Planning Committee, it was really perfect for me because it was helping me to apply my systems awareness to the university and to understand how we could reduce and redistribute waste and things that aren't waste at all, things that people continue to need. Patriot Packout is a really good opportunity for the university to come together as a community and support each other, to collect resources for students that students continue to need and use as they graduate and are replaced by new students. We also have a number of faculty and staff who also need a lot of these items that we collect.
I'm Kayla. I'm getting my master's in social work, and things like this are really great for students because we need these things and otherwise we might not be able to afford them. So please continue to donate. Come on, let's go Patriots! Woo!
It was really meaningful for me to see the faculty and staff who were visiting the free store and leaving with bags of clothes and shoes for themselves and for their children and for their relatives.
So hi, I'm Dr. Jen Sklaroo. I teach in the Environmental Science and Policy Department.
And I'm Dr. Dan Sklaroo, and I also teach in the same department.
And we are thrilled to observe this market today and to be able to find a fridge actually, because our fridge just broke. But we wanted to make sure that the students who need things would get those before we take anything. But we're just very grateful that you have the fridge, and also so grateful to see all of the volunteers working here and upcycling and recycling and just the different types of things that students have donated. In our EVPP 480 class, we've talked about this event, so some of our students are here volunteering, and some of our students are here shopping, and some of our students have donated their items, so we're happy to see those items tracing their way through many generations of students.
And I'm really excited to see every year it seems like there's more stuff, and this year the market is so well organized you can find out, if you're looking for shoes or for electronics, it's all well labeled, and it's so fantastic to see this stuff not end up going in the dump and not being thrown away and actually being used. And so much useful stuff is still here that I understand that they need 8 days this time to keep the market open to hopefully get all this stuff to good new owners. So enjoy what you find, and I hope to see you at the free market here.
There were students who are involved in human trafficking student organizations and refugee student organizations who were collecting things to support the people that they work with in their organizations. So it was really exciting to see the gallery become a gathering space for a variety of people who cared about their community, cared about individuals in their lives, cared about the environment, and wanted to work together to address this issue in one way or another, in a way that they could.
Hello everyone, my name is Ayman Habib. I'm a junior at George Mason, and I had a lot of fun at the Patriot Packout today. I was grabbing some items for 3 refugee students that are coming to Mason in the fall semester through the Welcome Car on Campus project, and I had a really good time because everything was so organized and every worker is so helpful, so I really hope that you guys come next year too.
So we work with a student organization called No Lost Generation, and they were really instrumental in working together with Ramel, who's the Assistant Director of Undocumented and Immigrant Student Support, for this program called Every Campus a Refuge. And so through that program, we're looking at ways that college campuses have everything that they need for a refugee student, right? And so thinking about what it's like to come over here and have nothing, and then we have dorms and gyms and access to medical care and things like that. And so it's really important for campuses, if they have those things, if they're able to bring in students who are refugees. And so it's when they come over, education is also important, and those students also identify as being first generation. So our definition is, if your parent did not receive a bachelor's within the United States, we see you as being a first-gen student. And so mostly all of the refugee students are also first-gen, because if their parents did go to college, they didn't go to college within the United States, which is a whole different experience, right? And so that's where that connection lies. And I think PPO is really important, because when you come as a refugee, you often have nothing, right? And so going through the free store allows students to kind of rebuild, or to have some things that are comforts to them, and things that are just also just necessities.
My name is Vas. I'm from India, and I'm in first year, and I really like the Patriot. What is that like called? Packout or something? The stuffs were very cool, and it's completely free.
I work in housing and residence life at George Mason University, which is one of the biggest universities, actually the biggest university in the state of Virginia. We have about 6,200 beds, which means we have about 6,200 people that we move in and we move out every single year. And we actually have a smaller move-in in the winter and a smaller move-out in the winter as well. So we actually run 4 move-in and move-out operations, not including the many, many move-in and move-outs of our summer camps and conferences, people who take summer classes. We house interns from the Washington, D.C. area and from out-of-state schools that are looking for housing for their students for the summer. So we do a lot of very logistical planning. The department itself is split into 5 different areas. I work within residential services, which deals with our business side, our occupancy side, so the people who make the assignments for who gets to live where, and then finally the operations side, which is where we do all of our logistical planning. We work with our housekeeping staff, our facilities staff, our waste management team, anybody under the sun who is going to be involved in getting our students on campus and making sure that they're happy and healthy while they're here. So our department is over 200 people. It's a very large operation, and we are just one small slice of that.
This year we more than doubled the number of donations we collected. It was really exciting to see the amount of furniture, electronics, food, clothing, decorations, art making tools, a variety of things that people were donating and making sure that they could be reused.
Today, I went and toured the free store, temporary as it is, because all things are temporary. But there's so much there. There's so much generosity that's occurring, and there's so much gratitude in response, and that's a very sort of spiritual thing. That's gratitude and joy and giving and receiving. And I see this stuff sitting in the gallery space, and it's really obvious to me that it's a natural place for it, because a practice, the practice of sustainability, the practice of recycle, reuse, is really an art. It's because what we're dealing with, and I think you mentioned we're dealing with materials, the materials of art creation. And the power is in the stuff. The power is in the sweaters and the waffle makers and the pillows. These are artifacts. These are the things that our students used for years. And the flow that we have going on, is by the semester or at best every 4 years. This is a flow of artifacts that really, if you think about it, reflects the times, and it reflects the quality and the content of the student experience, and still be very valuable as usable and valuable as symbols. Symbols of the student experience and symbols of the ways in which the university works with what the students bring, whether it's their stuff, their biases, their joys, their passions, their cultures.
A lot of times in the art world, art is regarded as sort of fine art, precious to be observed in a gallery or museum space. And the idea that art could be political is often disregarded from that point of view. Nevertheless, many great artists that would even be acknowledged in the fine art tradition have been very socially engaged in their practices. And this has been true really actively since the French Revolution. And even before, even in cave paintings, the original purposes of art, while we're not completely sure what they were, a lot of it had to do with interpreting the environment in which people were in, to understand the environment better through art. So really we want to build on that tradition of looking at art as something that's innately human, it's innately cross-cultural, it has existed throughout histories. All different cultural histories have some kind of artistic practice going on. And so we want to recognize that and build it towards the future. Like what do we, with our knowledge base now, what can we project into the future? And what kind of pathways can we start hacking through the jungle that will lead people to a better life?
As a marketing person when I arrived at Mason for Sodexo was to decide what about customer service was problematic. Right across the board, it rose to the surface that language acquisition, or the failure thereof, or the failure of provision of language skills was really at the root of all of the sort of problems that were rooted in communication. And at the time, the majority of the folks that worked for minimum wage were in facilities, housing, housekeeping, plant management, and working for dining services. At the time, it was like $5.20 an hour, and a lot of those folks were coming with very little English. So one of the first things that we did, we developed a program to provide some on-campus classes, and then I helped develop a class that students could take to learn about immigration and the movement of people in the world and language acquisition. We developed a class for students to learn about that, and then to do a one credit. So we paired people up, one student, one worker, one student, one housekeeping worker, one student, one cook, and I got to meet all of those folks because I was the one that paired people up. And I was with Mason Dining, so I knew who it was that the university was built on. The university worked because of all of those folks at the base, all of those minimum wage workers. No matter how well they spoke English, no matter how well they understand processes, they were the people that lifted the university up. They were the critical folks. When there was a hurricane, they were the ones that had to come to campus, when all the rest of us could just stay home and be safe. And it's a natural thing, to have the students' leftovers become somebody else's treasures and just go back into the stream of treasure and hand me down. And, it's just, the cycle is really natural. And the main thing for me is that it keeps crap out of the landfills. It keeps, crap out of the streets. And it benefits those that need it. So to be able to provide students with the things they might need, furnishings, hygiene products, food products, clothing, it's the kind of support that we should provide to our students.
So actually, our involvement goes back to the beginning of the Patriot Packout. I forget what year it was, but it was back to when actually government community relations created the program in conjunction with housing, I would say at least a decade ago. And so, we work obviously very closely with Housing and Residence Life on move out and helping facilitate, 6,000 students moving out.
By and large, we have about 6,200 people moving out of the residence halls. So that means we need to be working with facilities, it means we need to be working with our housekeeping staff, and it means a lot of trash. And so a lot of our residential students, because we have a first-year live-on requirement, are first-year students. That means they don't know exactly what they're going to need and what they want to bring, and often they buy little tchotchkes and things throughout the year that they end up disposing of at the end of the semester. Previously, it meant multiple trips with our facilities team and our waste management team to make sure that all of the trash rooms in all of our residence halls weren't overflowing, which would occur almost daily in previous move-out operations. Involving PPO was very specific and very intentional on our part so that we could decrease that, because it doesn't only decrease the amount of trash that we're producing, it decreases the amount of work that our housekeeping and facilities team has to do during the move-out period. Something people don't quite think about is we have our move-out and our graduation and all of that. We have negative 24 hours to turn spaces over for our first summer students, our first summer interns, and our first summer camp. So our teams are in the residence halls actively as students are moving out, cleaning spaces, removing trash, and doing everything that's needed to prepare for our summer programming.
Since being here at Mason, I've been working here 18 years, and when I first started with the recycle waste program, and my supervisor, my predecessor at the time, would ask me to attend the Patriot Packout meetings that they used to have. It was very interesting the way I learned a lot of things about Mason and the community, and how we, the students when they moved out, would just leave behind so much stuff, clothing, refrigerators, mini fridges, food, cleaning supplies, just a variety of things would get left behind that they literally, we were standing and they couldn't fit it in their car because it was just too much. So a lot of times things got left because they couldn't fit it in the car, and the volume of things. So with that being said, going to these meetings and the various departments and moving around with the recycle department, because our sole purpose was to supply the manpower and the vehicles to transport from various locations in HRL housing dorms around campus. So we provided the manpower and the trucks for the high volume of material, things that were being discarded at the end when students left. So that was our primary goal as far as facilities in the recycle waste department, being a part of the Patriot Packout. It truly was an HRL housing event that kind of fell into facilities' hands and laps because, again, we had the trucks and we supplied the people to go around to the various dorms and start collecting up the stuff. We literally just collected up, put it on the trucks.
And so kind of out of that process, we were involved in the early days, again, with government community relations that started that process of Patriot Packout. We were able to obviously offer some outdoor sites and areas where people were bringing their cars to pack up. And so that's kind of our initial involvement. And then, at some point, then sustainability took over the PPO program, and it's really morphed into what it is now. Again, really started off as kind of a way to collect items that were being discarded. And so we were able to provide a lot of the space, and obviously we also were able to kind of help from a marketing standpoint, since we have control per se a lot of the real estate around campus and are pretty involved in dealing with all the students and the parents that are moving out. It was everything from appliances that were left behind, providing areas for that. Bikes in our world, we do a used bike sale each year, where we actually were taking donated bikes as well as bikes that were abandoned. So the hope was that, as opposed to us having to go kind of track bikes down, people were willingly donating the bikes that they know they were going to leave behind, and then kind of also working with the donation of any other goods. We also work at the end of each year. We do this a couple times a year, but we work with Patriot Pantry, where we collect food donations in exchange for parking citation forgiveness. So it's a program we've been doing for, I want to say, at least 15 years. And so we do it around Thanksgiving break, and then we do it around at the end of April, early May, when students are moving out. So again, as opposed to people kind of leaving food behind, we were getting people to actively donate food and other pantry items, and then also get parking ticket credit if they needed forgiveness. But we also got people that didn't owe us anything, but there was a place that we created to donate food. So we've been doing that for quite a while.
One of the big things we were able to do this year that we weren't previously is, because of my involvement and because of my ability to represent housing and residence life in this space, this was the first year since many, many, many years ago where we had drop points for anything that is donated in residence halls. So we had 10 residence halls where we had drop points in the actual lobby of the residence hall. We also had 6 outdoor drop point locations next to residence halls. And so that allowed students to not have to travel too far and not have to really think through, how do I get this to this drop point? They were able to walk down the stairs, take the elevator, and drop anything they wanted to donate right in the lobby of their hall. We checked those drop points multiple times a day with our PPO staff and volunteers, and were able to keep it free of clutter for the vast majority of move out. So that really increased accessibility for students to donate items to Patriot Packout. We, on the residence life side, really advertised this point. I spoke with all of our community directors, who are the professional staff in charge of safety and community within our residence halls, and I gave them a presentation about the project, explaining what we were trying to do. I did that in early April, so they were able to educate their resident assistants who live in the halls and are our student staffers in the halls on what this project is, and those resident assistants were able to explain it to all of the people that live in our halls during their closing meetings, which we have at the end of every spring, so that folks know what they're supposed to do when they're moving out. We did get a couple of questions of, can I donate this? Or, I don't think I can move this, can you help me with it? And in all of those instances, it was such a victory that they knew to reach out to us and ask for help, because they knew that this program was available to them. So I think having that person-to-person communication, even more so than the emails, was a way that we were able to vastly increase the amount of donations and increase the level of accessibility of this project. People were willing to donate because it was right there. And in many cases, we actually made it easier to access our donation points than we did the trash room. So in some halls, it was easier to donate the things you were trying to get rid of than it was to throw them away.
My office is packed. Every wall is covered, every space I can utilize, but everything in my office, with the exception of 5 things or less, come from my facility yard and my team saying, hey, somebody got rid of this, you want it? And that goes from the chair that I sit on, to the desk that I use for my computer, to all the artwork that I have, my credentials. I challenge anybody to come to my office and identify 5 things in my office that I may have purchased that didn't come from Mason.
My name is Grace Catello, and I am a Patriot Packout support specialist. This is my first year working with Patriot Packout, and my first time in Patriot Packout's first time having a support specialist. So I started in mid-April of this year, 2024. But since being in the position and working with Colleen, Demon, and the other volunteers and people in the Office of Sustainability, it really opened up my eyes to like all the school is doing and all the Office of Sustainability is doing through Patriot Packout and the initiative and the Zero Waste School. So going from someone who didn't even know about Patriot Packout to someone that is now really involved in Patriot Packout has been an amazing experience, and it really just shows me how George Mason is working to try to promote this initiative and promote a zero waste university.
My name is Justin, and I am a junior here at George Mason studying data science. My experience here was very great. I was able to get a vacuum. I don't have a vacuum, and then a textbook and a gift for my brother. And yeah, I enjoyed coming here. It's a great thing, great way to reduce waste, and definitely enjoyed it.
Hey, I'm Bobby Yee. I just want to say how wonderful this Patriot Packout has been. It's a wonderful community event that allows us to be, eco-friendly and to recycle and to reuse. Thank you.
My name is Shanae. I graduated from Mason in 2022, and I love this. As somebody who's like moving into a new apartment, it's really good to come here and like see some of the things that I needed and not having to go to Marshall's to buy them. So I really did appreciate it, and I hope that you guys continue doing this for years to come.
Yeah, so my name is Laura McGregor. I'm the Assistant Director of College Success and First Gen Recruitment, so I work in the Office of Admissions. I think this is amazing what George Mason is doing. So this is all stuff that students were donating after they moved out. I'm a big crafter, so a lot of the things I got is for my crafting abilities. A nice little desk lamp because we do get to work from home one day a week. So it was amazing to see all of the support for students, faculty, and staff in there shopping around, and I'm glad these items don't go to waste.
I'm just really grateful to be able to give students this opportunity, especially the students who are a part of the program, STEP, who are currently here. This is their first introduction of Mason, right? They haven't started the fall yet. And so to be introduced to community in this way, I think is really beneficial, and it shows them what Mason is about, and it shows them how to be community members for the next 4 years.
Everything interacts with everything else. We are in community with the folks who live around us. We're in community with our students. We're in community with our fellow professional staff members. For this project, what they really needed was somebody to say, yes, we can do this, and support them in whatever way was possible. For me, that was giving access to halls, that was helping with volunteers and providing a little bit of financial support. Housing is a massive apparatus. We have the ability to influence a lot of partnerships on campus because of our sheer size and the number of students that we interact with on a daily basis. In my opinion, housing is about community, and it's about involving students in the world in a way that we're able to support them as they learn how to make their way. And so this is an excellent example of bringing accessibility, bringing sustainability to the forefront of their minds, because the habits that they build here and the opportunities that they have here are things they're going to carry into and expect in the world. So it's our job to be assisting the community around us. It's our job as a university, as an employer, as a department, to make sure that people have opportunities in whatever way they need to have them, be it that they need extra clothing, some bedding, or they need a place to donate goods. It's the university, and more specifically housing's responsibility, to provide those opportunities to our students. All we needed to do was say yes to Patriot Packout, and that's exactly what we did. And like you mentioned, it doubled output. It dramatically increased the number of students who were able to access assistance and get items that they really needed to survive and that they needed to be successful at George Mason, which ultimately is our absolute goal.
See what Ben and Colleen and others have done, and just kind of taken the program and grown, and the impact it makes, especially knowing that there is a community out there in need, again, whether it's for clothing, whether it's for food, whatever it may be, to meet some of their basic needs, as opposed to having stuff go to waste.
I would say Patriot Packout is the most important thing I do as part of my job. To me, it's really meaningful, not only because we're providing people for free items that they need and frankly shouldn't cost them so much money. And it's a resource in that way for the campus community. And that's the broad campus community from students, faculty, staff, frontline workers at Mason, subcontractors, to alumni and family members. We really open it up and create a space for people to feel like they're part of the Mason community.
This is just an amazing community. The Mason community is so special that it's a motivation to stick around. So I'm gonna start in fall. I'm gonna start a master's in clinical mental health. So for the last 10 years that I have of working age, maybe I can assist students in a greater way, in a way that helps them find purpose and vitality and joy in their experience, and as somebody who again hands them off to a better life, and that's what we do with our artifacts, with our reusable artifacts. It's all about the handoff.
It's really interesting to see the creative process of Patriot Packout unfold in the gallery. We don't have fine art on display during the free store. It's everyday items here, but the process of seeing people coming together and collecting items and sorting them, redistributing them, helping each other, that is a creative process in and of itself. People coming together to make a difference in the world and try to understand the way that their decisions and their spending and their consumption affects other people and the planet. That's a creative process. Working together to solve problems is a creative process, and art is kind of that meeting ground for people to problem solve and think creatively together.
Both as a scientist and as a sustainability person, I'm super, super proud of this initiative. I think it's a home run on so many fronts. I think we help establish and rebuild and expand the Mason community this way. We are helping to meet the needs of our students and our staff and our community members in ways that I'm not aware of that many other institutions that are doing. And at the same time, we're also avoiding that sort of take, use, waste cycle that is so destructive. I've seen estimates that if everybody on the planet lived like Americans did, we would need about 4 Earths worth of resources to keep up with our resource use. That's not sustainable. It literally cannot be done. We're on a small blue rock circling a wayward star in some forgotten corner of the Milky Way. And our resources are limited. We take them for granted, but they are limited. So we've contributed in, I think, a significant way to making sure that we are playing our part in recycling and reusing and upcycling those resources. And at the same time, we're also reducing the environmental footprint of the university and of all of our constituents, because the alternative to this is that we put it all in dumpsters and it goes to a waste-to-energy plant, and everything that we throw away ends up as carbon and other pollutants in the atmosphere. It ends up in the ash, the fly ash from that facility, which ends up in our soil and our water. So every item that we can put back into a circular economy here on the campus, it helps people and it helps the planet. And that's why I got into this business. This effort is a home run, and I'm so proud of it.
I'm DJ Spalding. I am the Energy and Utility Manager here. I'm also a Master's in Systems Engineering. The Patriot Packout was incredible. It was organized very well by Colleen's team. I'm very happy to be here. I got a huge bag of items, some hoodies, sweaters, different size of pants, and I'm very appreciative of the Patriot Packout. Great program, love it, thank you so much.